Welcome to the Jynxbox M6 Android and Pure Linux unboxing and review. This is at the end of 2014. It's actually an Android box, but I'm going to show the Linux version as well. So in specs, this is actually running a MX dual-core ARM Cortex-A9 at 1.5 GHz CPU. So that's basically, if you're familiar with the Jynxbox MX2 units, which there's lots of them in circulation, lots of different clones available, very reasonably priced, but not a great unit. But you may be familiar with those because there's just so many on the market. It's been flooded with them. This is very similar, basically, the chipset at least. You've got the Mali 400 M2 GPU, a gig of RAM. The storage is just a little on the little side with 4 gig, but you have got the micro SD slot for up to 32. The video output is only showing as HDMI 1.3 and not 1.4. And then you've got your Wi-Fi is 2.4 gigahertz, and you've also got your LAN port. It's got 2 USB ports, and it's nice and small, 85 by 85 by 21 mil, so very small unit and very lightweight at around about 170 grams. So that's enough about the unit. Let's unbox it and see what it's all about. Right then, so we've got the dual-core Android TV, Jynxbox M6. Nice little box. Tells you can play YouTube and all that on it. So being Android, obviously you can play all the Android apps on there, and we've got the description on the back in UK, Spanish and French. So let's see what we've got in here. So first of all, I'm struck with a really nice looking small box, very tiny. It's got a nice little power button on the front as well, so that'll please a lot of people. People do like to see a power button these days. Not all of them have power buttons. It's quite a nice little box. Yeah, it looks quite nice. Smooth. Seems well made. We've got a LAN port at the back for your wired. HDMI, power, and then you've got your 2 USBs and a micro SD on the side. Yeah, it looks okay. So in here we've got the power supply, which is a US one because this was actually shipped from the US, and we've got a basic remote. Right, let's try and get this out of here. Yeah, it looks okay. It's not too bad. Just take that wrapping off of there so I can hold it in my hand properly. Now, yeah, I mean, the buttons are good to press. They feel good. They're sort of those clicky ones, you know, make a nice clicky noise, and yeah, they feel okay. I've seen worse ones. Lack of stop button again. I see there's a pause and play, but no stop again. What else we've got in here? We've got the old school connectors if you want to connect your TV old school way. The batteries, that's good. Always good to have batteries for the remote, and we've got HDMI cable, which presumably, as it says, it's 1.3 HDMI. That'd be a 1.3 cable. Got the warranty type thing there, and got a decent looking user guide, a proper. You know, quite a few pages there, proper guide with colour pictures and all that, and it's actually in English, so that's good. Right, so booting up into Android now. It's TV's telling me it's default to 720p, which is the norm for initial boot, just for compatibility purposes for older TVs that can't support 1080p. So most manufacturers make them 720. So I'm hopeful this box is actually going to be much better than my last review I've done of their last product. So it's got slightly better specs and it's dual core, so that's good. So we're straight into some sort of menu. So we're going to whiz through this. It's got a mouse button on this, so let's try that out. It's not easy. You press the mouse button, then you move the cursors. I think I'll just stick with the up and down buttons. So we can set our location. our language settings. Next, display position. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that all looks good. So I'm going to click the back button for that to accept, and we do next. Ethernet configuration. I've not actually got my cable in, but let's just see what's in there. Yeah, so you can sort of have it on or off basically by the looks of it. And hopefully we'll be able to set up the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go in here and set up the Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to pause it there for a sec while I put in my details. Right, I have to say that was a really painful process putting in that Wi-Fi details, because I had to use the mouse buttons to type. It was not good. But anyway, we're in and the Wi-Fi is connected. Sorry about the state of the screen. I don't know what's going on there. It's my video capture. Something is not liking something about this resolution. But it looks fine on the TV screen. So we can ignore that for now. But yeah, I mean, the menu isn't great. It's not brilliant, but we can change the output mode, and I'm going to change that to 1080p at 60 Hz and see if that makes any difference. Right, that all seems to be good now. So right, on to XBMC, I suppose, and see how that functions. Okay, I'm very sorry about that. It looks as though we've got a few video issues here with this particular Android version and my capture card. They don't seem to get along. So what I can tell you though is you didn't miss much. The XBMC version that was installed was quite an old one. It was XBMC 12.2, which is Frodo. Bearing in mind we're currently we've had Gotham and we're now on Helix release candidate. Yeah, that wasn't particularly great, but you know, this may have been in the factory for a little while, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But what I did find is the Wi-Fi was actually pretty terrible. I was getting a very, very bad signal, and just generally quite slow, and a few little bugs in XBMC. So what I've done is I've done some research, and I understand that the pure Linux version should in theory work better. So I've just flashed that onto the box, which was a very simple process. Just extracted a zip file to an SD card, micro SD card, popped it in, held down the power button for about 15 seconds, let it boot up, and it installed it. So that was really good. That's possibly the simplest update method I think I've seen on an Android box. But yeah, going with pure Linux, it does mean that you're not going to get any of your Android apps or anything like that. So there won't be a web browser or anything like that. But let's see how that fares. Hopefully, hopefully it should run pretty well on a pure Linux base. Okay, here we go then. So we're greeted with this particularly leery XBMC splash sort of boot screen as it's booting up. But yeah, so long as the actual XBMC underneath works well, I'm not too fussed about what the splash screen looks like. So here we go. We're going in by the looks of it, and we're in. So first thing I'm going to do is go to Programs, and I'm going to set up the Wi-Fi because it's terrible on Android. So we go in here, and I'm just going to pause it there while I fill out my details. Okay, that's all done. And once again, it didn't give me an option to click OK to accept my Wi-Fi details, so I just had to hope that it worked by pressing cancel, which it has, because you can see the RSS feed at the bottom, and you can see the system info there. So we are connected. It's running XBMC 13 release candidate 1, which was May 2014. It's now December 2014, and I can't find any newer updates, which is a little bit disturbing, especially as we're now on Helix release candidate. So anyway, I'm going to install Total Installer, and then I'm going to try and install Genesis from that, because When I was trying it on the Android build that this ships with Wi-Fi, it was absolutely dreadful. It would not, well, it just took forever to download. The Wi-Fi was shocking, so I'm hopeful that this Linux version will be better. As you can see, I've got to use this silly, the basic remote. I've not got a keyboard plugged in. Obviously I could do if I wanted to, if I wanted to upgrade. But as it is, I'm just using the remote, which actually feels okay. You know, it's not too bad to use. It's all right. Again, I've used worse, used much better, but yeah, it feels quite solid, and it sort of makes the clicky noises, so you at least know that you've pressed a button, unlike some of those cheap ones where you might press something and you're not sure if you pressed it properly, and then you end up with double presses. That's not the case with this. So here we go. TotalXBMC.TV. Right, so we go to our add-ons, and I have to say, so far it's great. It's so much more of an improvement. Install a repo. Yeah, that Android one was really, I was not keen on that. It had a lot of flaws going on. This is much snappier. As you can see, program add-ons. Total installer will install that. It shouldn't take long because it's a very small file. Yep, that's all good. Now, the moment of truth. Let's try searching for Genesis and see how that works out for us. So search for add-ons, manual search, and we want Genesis. Like I say, the Android one, it took, I don't know, it must have been over 5 minutes to install Genesis, which should really be done in seconds. Okay, it shouldn't really be taking this long to find it, but maybe that's a problem with my servers at TotalXBMC. It's unlikely, but it might be. I'm not aware of any problems. Install Genesis, yes. Now this downloads direct from the developer's repository, nothing to do with TotalXBMC at all. So, yep, it looks as though we've got the same problem here as I had on Android. I mean, that is dreadful. Download progress 1%. It should fly through this. So what I'm going to do there, because clearly this is going exceptionally slow, I'm just going to quickly pause that and insert the Ethernet cable and cancel and get rid of the Wi-Fi and see if that makes any difference. Just because it could be the servers, you never know. It could be the developer's repo having problems. Okay. Right, just going into the settings now. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to come out of there. Can I work out how to get out? I've got to physically click on cancel. Okay, and let's go to system. Let's have a look, see what's going on. System info. Yep, we appear to be connected. Oh, it's done a little reboot on me, some sort of XBMC restart. That was odd. I don't know if that was intentional or was it bug, but we're back in. That was quick. It looks as though we're connected, and everything is working. So let's try on Ethernet, just to see if it is the Wi-Fi that's shocking on this device, or I mean, it looks to be going good now. Look, it's actually updating all the stuff now. It's on Ethernet. You can see at the bottom everything's updating. So let's do another manual search. We have another go at Genesis again. I have a feeling this might work okay. Looking at the speed, everything else is updating. It's telling us that we're on release candidate when there's actually a 13.2 stable. Unfortunately, the Jynxbox team don't appear to have released anything like that though. Right, how's this going to go this time? Look at that. That is the speed it should be going. Okay, so much better. So yeah, like I say, what I was on about with the firmware there, it's, you know, we're on 13.0, the release candidate, and actually at the moment, you know, what is that? That's 7 months later. Yeah, 7 months later we are from this release, and there's been no more releases since, so it is a bit disturbing that. But saying that, this build does seem to be working well so far. Not giving it a full check, but certainly much better than that Android version. So that's installed Genesis. Let's go have a look at it, and so, and you can see, you know, it's updating things as quickly as, you know, any other system really. It's going as it should do. So I opened Genesis for the very first time. That opened pretty quick. Movies, and let's try and get a big list. So something like people watching, that's usually a big one, and see how it copes with caching metadata and stuff like that. You know, it's got 1 gig of RAM, it's got a dual core 1.5 gigahertz CPU. It should be alright. Yeah, that's loaded up perfectly fine, hasn't it? So, you know, we can, yeah, absolutely fine. We can change those. Let's see how it loads up artwork. Brilliant. Yeah, fine, absolutely fine. So that's perfect, that little bit. I'm just going to try bringing up the results of a movie. So I'm going to click on this one. We know how slow they can be on some devices. Hopefully this one won't be too bad. There you go, bang, straight up. So I'm just going to try that, and I'm going to pause it there, so I don't get in trouble with YouTube. Yeah, started. Right, I just skipped there 10 minutes and it was fine. It was in 1080p. It appears to play perfectly fine, and you know, I know I've only done some basic tests on here, but so far so good, and I think it looks as though they've done a pretty good job with this Linux build. But like I say, conclusion really is, although initially this looks good, the Wi-Fi is terrible. Maybe I've just had a bad box, maybe they've sent me one that's you know, a little bit faulty, but the Wi-Fi was shocking on both Android and Linux, so you have to have a wired connection if you end up with a box the same as this. And like I said, that was a little bit disturbing about the firmware updates. You know, looking on the websites, I couldn't find anything newer than May, 2nd of May I believe it was, and it's currently the 12th of December. So I don't know what's going on with the development team there, but bear in mind this is a release candidate this is based on, so there are bound to be bugs. You know, what's this, Gotham, this is on release candidate, I think we was on 13.2, so we had two lots of stable versions that released after that release candidate. And there may have even been further release candidates that I can't remember after that particular one. But yeah, so there's bound to be some bugs there somewhere, as it's not in line with the stable versions of XBMC. But so far it does seem good, and it's much better than the M3 that I previously tried, which had nothing but problems. So yeah, there you go. That's that. And if you're happy with a Linux build, then you know, this isn't a bad solution if you can pick one up reasonably priced. I would suggest, you know, having tried some other units out there, that there is certainly more active development on certain units, so you may want to consider that. I'm not sure what price these come in at these days, but if they're coming in at a similar price to something like a little black box V2, that, you know, they got a dedicated team working on that, and that's continually updated and working very well, and a little faster than this. So but yeah, like I say, if you can get one reasonable enough, I think it could be a good purchase.